Welcome to your next step up the self-publishing mountain.
I'm Matilda Swift, author of quintessentially British cozy mysteries.
And I'm Samantha Cummings, author of young adult books about magic, myths and monsters.
I've written the books,
Changed their covers,
tweaked their blurbs,
tried tools from a dozen ads courses.
and I'm still not seeing success.
Now, we're working together to plot and plan our way from barely making ends meet to pulling in a living wage.
Join us on our journey where we'll be mastering the pen to snag that paycheck.
Hello and welcome to Pen to Paycheck Authors Podcast. I'm Samantha Cummings, here with my co-host Matilda Swift, and we're here to write our way to financial success. We're two indie authors with over a dozen books between us and still a long way to go towards the quit the day job dream. If that sounds familiar, listen along for our mastery through missteps journey. Each week we cover a topic to help along the way, and this week's topic is post-launch marketing. But before that, what are your wins and whinges of the week?
Well, we picked this topic today because I am launching a book this week. So my wins and whinges are very launch themed. So win, I launched my book this week. And also extra win, Amazon sent me my author copies like very, very quickly. So I launched my paperback a couple of days before the ebook so I could get reviews up, which is also a win for me. I've never done it before. I've never been that organised. So fantastic. And then I ordered the paperback straight away and they arrived yesterday. So my launch is on Wednesday and they arrived on Saturday. Phenomenal. And they look so cute. I feel so on it. And I feel on it with everything in this launch, which feels great. My whinge is I've now got 2 more launches coming very quickly and finish the books for those. And I'm so tired and I need to sleep. And I don't have any sleep scheduled for like the next several months. So that is disappointing for me. And lots of, really, I could do a whole podcast on wins and whinges of this week. Like really just, it feels like a million things have happened and a lot of it to do with the launch. So it will kind of bleed into the rest of the podcast. We'll be talking about that for the next hour, maybe. We'll see. How about you? Have you got any wins and whinges this week?
I've got plenty of wins. My win for today in particular is that I reached my editing goal. I've still got a long way to go. I say a long way to go. I've still got a way to go on this book, but I wanted to get to this specific point by the end of this week. And I worked so hard today, and I've just literally been sat down at my computer all day working furiously because we in our Discord had challenged each other to finish our edits today. And once I'm challenged,
and I did not.
Yeah. I was like, well,
I would do the same thing. Like once I'm challenged, I'm like, I'm going to do it. I'm not going to lose. But it was so awful. The pages that I had to edit, so I deleted whole chapters and I had to rewrite whole chapters. And I just didn't I physically don't have enough time. And I was writing awful work, awful words, and like just staring at things and be like, wait, what is happening in this chapter? Why is nothing happening in this chapter? So it was a bit philosophical, my writing session or my editing session today. That is definitely a whinge of this week, is that I am so tired that I'm really struggling to edit. So I'm going to take the rest of the evening off after this and just have a relaxing evening to try and be more productive tomorrow. Rather than just keep grinding myself into the ground. That is not the way that you write a cozy mystery.
No, but I know you've lost, but I've won. And
yeah, that is the important part. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's obviously the most important thing. I don't care that you're tired. No, of course I do. I feel that tiredness. That's part of my whinge, but I'll talk about that in a second. My other win is that I finally met up with my friend who is my book formatter. We met up in Manchester yesterday and spent the day together. I've known her for 10 plus years from the internet. I've been working with her for the last 3 or 4 books that I've published. So we've had like a friendship and a working relationship, and then finally we've had a real life like friendship, and it was so good. And we went around Manchester and I took her to some cute little places. We finally went into, because I've never been into the John Ryland Library, which is crazy that I've never been in.
I used to sell scarves in there, like felted scarves.
It was I walked in and just said instantly, I think I need to live here or work here. It's so good. So if you are in and around Manchester, definitely check it out. It's free entry and it's the best.
It's got a nice cafe as well. Yeah. I did an internship as an archivist there, and I thought, if only this was like a real viable job that I could do. And this would be my dream come true. I spent 2 weeks going through a poet's archives trying to find out. So basically when you're an archivist, you're trying to like label all the information in someone's documentation. And I was like looking through postcards and being like, this says it's from Alan and it's written in the style of Allen Ginsberg. Could it be him? And then I had to like figure out whether he would have written that, whether it was the right place to do it. And it often was. And then we left like telegrams from Samuel Beckett being like, I'm not coming to that party. Absolutely not. And it was just a delight. But it is not a very easy career to have just generally. It's very hard to get jobs because it's small and not well paid. But it was delightful.
But so fun. Like when I'm dead, just to take it too far, I'm gonna haunt that place like nobody's business. I feel like as a ghost, I could spend a lot of time there. So that's my plan for the
any
future.
reason to get into the archives, it was
Oh
fantastic.
my god, yeah, I would love to. So that was my day yesterday. Yeah, I had a lot of fun. My whinge of the week is that I am equally tired as you. I actually felt like I was suffering from exhaustion this week because I've been editing so much. And on Wednesday, Thursday and Friday, I was so tired I literally couldn't do anything. I was like a walking corpse. Somebody at my office in my day job actually stopped me when I walked into the room and said, "Are you okay?" And because visibly I obviously looked terrible, and he just said that you clearly are not okay. Like, you don't seem like your usual self. And I'm like the life and soul of the party at the office. Like they literally can't work without me because I am the energy. And without my energy,
this week then. Yeah.
I know, without that energy, everyone had a really bad week. And I was actually like the person that stopped me, asked me, like pleaded with me, Sam, will you please not do any work tonight? Like, I think you need to rest. And so I did. I was like, yeah, that's fine. I'm sorry. I'll come back in tomorrow and I'll be better. But that was like a really, like, strangely a nice thing for someone to say and notice, because I sometimes just feel like I'll just keep going and it's fine. Nobody can tell how tired I am. But the fact that people could tell was a warning sign that I should take care of myself a little bit better. So I'm going to try. My other whinge of the week is just like energy levels for social media that have dipped. Now that there's no longer a competition, not competition, but we were doing that whole challenge, the TikTok challenge. And I love doing things like that where everybody's kind of sharing and there's a tiny bit of competition, even if it's just with yourself. There's that tiny bit of competition to keep the energy and the excitement going. And without that, I'm just like, I don't know what I'm doing anymore.
No one's looking, right? No one's looking, so you can just be like, I'll put this down. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't mean no viewers. I mean, like, there's no sense in which you're like, you've agreed to something. It's voluntary. And you're like, well, it's voluntary. I'm tired and it's not going well. Never mind then.
Yeah. Yeah. So I need to find the spark again and the enjoyment. And I think that this week I'm going to just give it a whirl and start going back to posting really fun, like the stuff that I was doing at the start of last month. Was it last month? I don't even know where I am. The start of this month?
Who knows what time is? Yeah.
No, I don't know. Yeah, so I'm going to try and go back to that, just posting and having fun and trying to enjoy things without looking too much at the stats and everything. So, yeah. It's just...
I mean, I've sort of done a similar thing. So I set up a second TikTok that I'm trying to have like just a more like what you're meant to have, quote unquote, meant to have on TikTok. So just trying to follow like, would I get better numbers if I had a more systematic posting system that is more aligned with what people say will lead to higher view counts? Because I really want to have a TikTok where I can just post a bunch of silly things. Like, I want to have that. So if I want to have that, I should also try having a business like TikTok just to see. And I think I'm going to try and have like a little challenge in myself and do that for a month and see, does it work, or are the gurus lying? They're not lying. But are their messages not applicable to me, or have I not taken enough time to really try and learn them? But like, just to try out something, because I do really enjoy having like a silly TikTok. I think it feels like a more playful space. And one of the things I was talking about this week in our Discord was that actually I want to be slightly more playful with the business. So we talked a couple of weeks ago about 2 weeks ago about having a low budget, and then we suggested when we think about having the high budget, we're like, what if you had £1 million as your budget? And obviously that was like, no, we can't do that. The £1 million you'd hire someone to do all the work for you. That's not applicable to our lives. But actually thinking about the £1 million was really helpful to me, because I thought if I had £1 million, and I was like a trust fund baby who was just like, I want to publish some books and have some, like, enjoy it, have some fun. I would be way more playful. I would try different fun things. I would do things like your book box that just seem like so much fun, but are so much work. But I'd be able to pay for it to be done. And I think at the moment in my business is fine, but I do feel like the less playful I am, the higher the risk of burnout for me, because I think I like that creativity, but like business creativity. So my day job, I part of my role is like getting to have like lots of different projects and fingers at different pies and try different things, and so I get to have kind of a fun, playful side. It's not really play, but you know what I mean, like a side where I can suggest things that I'm not committed to actually doing. Someone else has to actually go and do them. So I get to do a lot of like blue sky thinking. And in my publishing business, I don't, because I just don't have that much time and energy, and anything I think of, I have to do myself. So it was really useful to think about that like £1,000,000 idea. And it has made me realize I do want to have some play in my business. And if that's having like a silly TikTok that like I think nobody really watches it, I think it's going to have no, like, because Crazy Mystery readers aren't really on TikTok as much as anyone else. And like, if I look at my demographics, it's very young people. So I wanted to have a fun, playful space, which, and then I will also try and have a businessy space on there.
Yeah. It's I sometimes have what I call a millionaire Saturday, where I pretend like sometimes I'll play the lottery on Friday night. And I won't check my emails the next day until like later in the afternoon to see if I've won. Because I think when I go on a dog walk on a Saturday morning, I like to walk around town as though I've won the lottery and just have that mentality of thinking like, nobody knows, but I am actually now filthy rich. And it's really, I never actually fully believe that I've won the lottery, but I pretend. And it's just a really nice and playful way to, I think it just gives me a bit of energy because I walk around and I feel like I'm just literally swanning around. I've got nowhere to be.
I'm picturing you like
work.
the Lady No Kids meme, the little cartoon where she's like, I'm off to follow a goose. That's exactly what I think you're going to be like.
That's basically me. And I go with my dog and like I'll go and sit and have a coffee and sit outside the coffee shop and chat to like strangers as they walk past, as though I'm, offering the peasants a slice of my time. And it's insane, but it's so fun. And I do think that there should be more space for that kind of thinking when you're doing this, because you should go onto social media and be able to post things that's just silly. And it's just like, I'm just here having a good time. Enjoy what I've given you. And I like that. And I think that you should do that more. Just be your millionaire
self. I keep coming back to, podcast. I can't remember what it was, but I mentioned it recently to you that I listened to a podcast where it was a whole long episode that was really, really good, where someone was talking about like their great business strategies and all the work they put into business. They put a lot of work in, but at the end of it, they were talking about the key to their success. And they were like, oh, I'm independently wealthy. And I was like, oh, okay. Obviously this person works incredibly hard and they had some great strategies, but it felt like it made me reframe everything they'd mentioned, because yeah, I would do that if I were independently wealthy. I would be out here doing like fun things, building fandoms, if I didn't have to like go to the work and like put the bins out. But I could bring more of that into my life. Like I could bring more play, and I need to find more ways to bring play. Like I've done things like the artist way before and tried to like artist dates, and I do really feel like at the moment I am grinding a bit too hard. And we are talking about this kind of related topic next week, so we'll come up with some strategies then. But I definitely want to kind of keep recognizing that. I think that is definitely an Act 2 problem career wise, when you've escalated things, but I can't let go of anything. I'm only picking things up right now.
Oh God, I'll have to, before we move on, we'll have to read you the little star signy, whatever we're calling this.
Yes,
can never
your
remember what this is
horoscope.
called. Horoscope, thank you. And the thing that I keep getting is that.
So you're getting a daily horoscope, right? You're getting something delivered to you.
I've got an app, where I get a daily horoscope, and it says today, and it said this a few times recently, your main challenge right now is to allow things of the past to fade, to allow the future to be born out of the ruins. And if that is not, and like one thing is becoming another thing entirely, is the
saying quit your job.
So and I read that and I think like I don't know, I know what it means, and I understand, I feel that. I think I feel that whole sentence, and I can't imagine what the thing is that's growing, because it feels too silly to think it's like a proper career in writing. but it's something. And I feel like that's the vibe, is that we've got to release the things of the past that have been holding us back and step into our millionaire author lives.
Yes. I feel it's been a very rambly start to the podcast, but actually it's sort of because our topic today is quite big and it sounds very concrete, but it really covers a lot of things. So I think hopefully this beginning has kind of given insight into the ways in which the topic we're going to talk about isn't as small and discreet as it sounds. So we're talking about post-launch marketing, which sounds so specific. Like, oh, here's a checklist, go and do that. But what is post-launch marketing? How is it different to pre-launch marketing or other sorts of marketing? What is it?
I'm glad when I saw this, I saw you asking me the question.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, how the tables have turned.
Oh, the tables have turned.
I am going to be as aloof as possible, because I do think that, like we've just been talking about, the whole millionaire mindset, I think the post book launch marketing is a different mindset to pre-launch. And it's pre-launch is the temptation, it's the flirtation with readers to tell them all about like this great thing that they're going to have in their lives. And then post-launch is trying to like convince them that they made the right decision. but whilst also still trying this, and whilst having like a secret affair on the book, because you're still trying to get the people in and flirting with them. So it's like this, you have to split your mind into two, but they are also one. And I'm so bad at describing these things, but to me they make sense. So it's
really useful. I definitely hadn't given enough thought to the side of it. Like, it's making people read the book once they bought it, right? That's a big part of it. It could just sit on your Kindle forever, and then nothing happens, and no one's going to read your book too. Yeah, which now you say, obviously I should have been thinking about this. I don't know why I'm not. I'm so tired.
We always come up with different things, though.
I know, that is true, yes. But yeah, but I think it's also something that people talk about a lot, and this is a good reminder of definitely think about that. So it's about even the audiences that you think you've talked about it loads, who you think they've definitely bought it by now. It's about making sure they read it and that they do more as a consequence. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I see it, because I know that there was obviously all these processes that you can do, run ads to tell people that it's out, and make sure you're emailing people, send your book out to reviewers. There's all these things that are like normal standard things that you would do, rather than like just throwing the book away and moving on to the next thing. But I do, one of the things that I am very aware of, and I don't know why, maybe it's because of my last couple of launches, I felt like I have not thought about the fact that people buy the book but don't read it immediately, because I do that as well. And I've recently been trying to go back through my backlog on Kindle, and like everyone's TBR is ridiculously long. I'm really trying to get to the books that need reading the most, so mostly like indie books that I've bought, and trying to not neglect them. And it's made me realize, I wonder how many people bought my book who also have forgotten that it exists. And so actually, funnily enough, one of the people in my Discord group, because I'd written something about, I've been having a crappy sales month, which is fine, like it happens. It made her, I feel like I've guilted her into it, but it made her realize that she hadn't read the book. Like, she was like, oh, I bought your book and I haven't read it yet. I'm going to pick it up tonight. And she started reading it. So, it's that's just one example of me mentioning it in a virtual room and somebody thinking, oh yeah, I completely forgot. So that was like a strange, like that just really well-timed reminder that you can't stop talking about the book.
Like, I think for me, and I think that's a great reminder, because like for me, I'm doing rapid release, so it feels like I'm on this like fast-paced cycle I'm talking about book one, but really to get people in so they can read book 1, 2, and 3. And I feel like there's no option for me to stop talking about the book. So I'm still talking about book 1. I will still be talking about book 1, because book 1, you can read book 2 and 3 without reading book 1, absolutely, but people don't, as a rule. So you want to get people into book 1 so they keep reading. And so that's where my focus really is. But how do I get people who have bought book 1 or even borrowed book 1, right? You can have a load of borrows in KU now, so people don't always read the books they borrowed. How do you get those people to want to read it? And and part of that is things like making people feel like it's of the moment, right? It's like posting lots of reviews, posting scenes. But really, what's interesting is like how is that different to what you would do for either pre-launch marketing or thinking about people who are, haven't read the book series. So like marketing to a cold audience versus one that's already bought the book and is just doing nothing with it.
Yeah.
Have you got ideas of like specific ways you could reach that second audience of like you've convinced to buy the book? Now how do you get them to read it?
I think it's just all part of the strategy that we should have in place for our messaging. So we've talked about this in the past about having customer profiles, and I think one thing that when I was doing all my customer profiles, like this person loves to read these books and is a fan of this TV show, and I was coming up with these customer profiles, and I'm like terrible. I know I have these thoughts, but I haven't had time to kind of do this. Is that some of those customer profiles should be, this person's already bought your books and they like what you're doing, but they tend to forget that they've bought this book and they need reminding constantly. I think it's just a messaging thing.
I think in your genre, if you write fantasy, there is a big sense of like the big new book. Like everyone has to have read this book. So what could easily happen is like you release your book, loads of people buy it, but then the big new book by, big name author, say Lee Bardugo puts a book out the next day, you're like, well, I guess everyone's reading that then. And they just forget they've bought yours and they wanted to read it and they would love it if they read it, but like it just sits in there on their Kindle. I think to an extent there's less of that in cozy, but not none of that, obviously. Like people have their favorite authors. So again, say, and people often have quite a few favorite authors. So they might have half a dozen that they think, oh, I would read everything, that they write. So say I release a book and then their two favorite authors release books. Mine's at the bottom of the pile and they might come back to it or they might not. And how do I get that person to pick it up?
And I guess for cozies as well, if a lot of your business model and other people's business model is rapid release, you rapid release 3 books, but somebody else immediately on your coattails rapid releases 3 or 4 books.
Yeah.
And they catch the reader at the right time, then they're going to spend that time reading somebody else's books. So it is completely different, but also yours also seems a little bit harder in that once somebody's into a cozy series, they're in it, and there could be loads of books that they need to read within that series, and you have to try and yank them over to your world.
Yeah, and there's also like a lot of people who, and I would say to an extent I'm the same, won't read a book until there's a few out in the series because you think, well, I don't want to, like it feels like an effort to get into a world, and when you're in it you love it and you're like, I want to stay in here, and if you find there's only 2 or there's like the person released 1 a year, you're like, oh, I don't really want to kind of make a home in that world because I won't, there's not enough home for me to have. I can only visit it once every year. That's not comforting to know you're kind of missing something. So
I love that people are like that because I'm not like that at all. I never look to see how many books are in a series when I pick them up. I never.
I mean, I've
Same
got
with
a friend
TV
who
shows.
never reads the back cover of books, and I was like, "What are you doing?"
Well, sometimes I'll just read like the first bit, and if you know, you know. But I'm the same with TV shows. The amount of TV shows I've started, I've watched the first series and realised there's
and
nothing
there's no
else.
second series.
Yeah,
No, that is a nightmare. I can't do
heartbreaking
that
every time. I do it all the time.
But so that I think is interesting is that maybe it's important to change the style of messaging because say people aren't going to read the book until the 3rd or 4th book comes out. By that time they've heard the same messaging again and again, right? They've heard so much that maybe the book feels a bit stale, or it feels like they've read it because it's come up so much. So maybe it's about a key thing is like varying the messaging. And because I think you get to do that in completed series, right? You get to do that in fantasy, for example, where when a book comes out, book 1, you can talk about the excitement of book 1. Book 2 comes out, fantastic book 2. Book 3 comes out, complete series. That is a whole new message. And what is the message for ongoing series? What is definitely really interesting me at the moment is thinking about kind of different publishing models that trad and like digital first people are doing, because there's a lot of people doing that in cozies and mysteries in general. There's a lot of digital first crime fiction, and the people that made Bookouture have also founded a publisher quite recently, 2022 or 23, founded Storm Publishing, which is picking up a lot of cozy authors. And I was just listening to Ellie Alexander's podcast the other day. She does Reality Rights, and she was talking about her new series. And she has a series that came out almost the exact same time as my new series that has got a very, not similar concept, but it's a similar sort of niche. And her book is set in like a bookshop in sort of, they do a lot of mystery things and there's like a book towns almost. And so that kind of ties into mine, and it's got a lot of culinary ties. She writes up culinary books, so there's a lot of that in there. But her current series, like mine, has got a big backstory mystery, and she is writing it as a complete series. So she's wrapping up after 6 not episodes, books. 6 books in the series is a complete series. And then immediately straight after that, already planned, is another spin-off series from that with the same characters going to a different location. And I think the benefit of that, you get an extra entry point to advertise. But I don't necessarily know that applies to Ellie Alexander, because she has a lot of long-running series and people are desperate to read more books by her. So it's interesting that's the strategy that Storm has gone for. And they are a very big, successful, picking interesting people, doing interesting marketing tactics publisher. So I think they're worth watching. And that they have chosen to do this, and they worked with Ellie to decide to do this, to put a 6-book complete series out. Maybe suggests that they want to be able to advertise it as a complete series. That's a different way to send out the messaging. And they did a lot, like super rapid release. They did books 1 and 2 on the same day. Book 3, I think, was maybe a month later at most. Book 6 is already scheduled, I think, and I think the whole of books 1 to 6 are going to come out within, if I'm making a guess, I would say 4 months. It might be 6 months, but like incredibly tight timeline. And then that's done. Then they can advertise that as a completed series. And I have a background mystery in my series. Spoiler alert, I don't know how it ends, so we'll find out. But I know the first bits of mine is going to be split into like books. I like to split mine into 3s. So the first 3 books, you resolve part of the mystery, and then it's going to expand to the next 3. And then I think actually it's probably going to take 9 books to resolve this like big background mystery. And I'll be interesting. I'll get to watch and see what Alexander's doing with hers, and seeing, does she have a different background mystery in the next mini series, and how they're going to market that. So I think finding different ways to, I guess box sets, right? That's kind of a different messaging, but that reaches different people. But I think that is different to like post-purchase marketing. How do you reach those people with a different message? Because you can't just put a message, can't put a social media post. I'm like, have you read this book yet? Is it sat there on your Kindle keeping you, keeping you awake at night? I think you should read it.
Could you? You could. This is the thing. We should be trying these different ways of talking to our readers and seeing what works best. Maybe some people do want to have the funny little nudge to say, my book is whispering to me that you have not picked it up. It sounds very sad. It's not living up to its book potential. Maybe that's like a bit of messaging that people would like to hear. Something that I've been thinking about, because I've got my 3rd book of the series coming out in the next couple of months, and I really want to do a box set, maybe like towards the end of the year. I'm going to start thinking about how that works. But I also am trying to think about putting the first 2 books on sale before the next one comes out. So that's obviously a thing to consider, that is probably a very good idea, but I've never really done for a prolonged period of time. I've done like 99p deals that last a week maybe, but I'm considering putting my 2 previous books on 99p for a month, just for fun, because I've never done that before. And to see if that will drum up some business. I don't know. This year is completely just experimental phase of publishing, and I'm trying not to. I'm really, really struggling to take a hit financially, even though I don't make any money. But when people are putting books into what's the thing called where people put loads of free books out? Stuff Your Kindle.
Yes.
And I see so many people doing it and reporting thousands of downloads, but because it's free, I have not been doing it, because I feel like I don't want to give my book away for free. But
I think
it's
that
not it's
That is
not.
beneficial, right? So giving you a book
It
over free
is, yeah.
is like
Yeah.
there's no actual cost to you. But I think it has to be going to the right readers. And that I think is an
Mm-hmm.
interesting one in terms of post purchase, like quote unquote purchase marketing
Mm-hmm.
is like I think people generally don't read books from Stuffy Kindle. Or
Yeah.
they read them, they do then you would have to do a lot of marketing to reach them and say, I know it's on your Kindle,
Yes.
read it. It just sort of sits there. I am guilty of this. I've got tons and
Mm-hmm.
tons of books that I've downloaded free. Or, for 99p at some point that I needed to kind of like, oh, I've meant to get that. Let me pop it on my Kindle. But I don't actually want to read it right then.
Mm-hmm.
And I often do come back around to them. So say I'm doing some recently, right? Like I wanted to read more books that were based in bookshops because I wanted to promote those on my newsletter as a way to drive my readers to Amazon and connect like my readers to those books so that when I launch my series that Amazon would know those links. Um, and I had tons on my Kindle already, so I just searched in my Kindle, read them, and then could promote them to my readers and saying, "Oh, I read this, I really liked it. Give it a try." Uh, and they were sat there, and I read them in the end. But there must be tons that I have not read,
Mm-hmm.
or ones that I've picked up and then something else got to the top of the list and I put that away and I would never pick it up again.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think those are an extreme example of you would have to have a good post, I guess, post sale marketing tactic,
Yes.
or freebie marketing tactic as opposed to like, I think post launch marketing, we split those two things out, right? We put in like post launch as in like you don't have the excitement launch anymore versus post
Mm-hmm.
launch, someone's bought the book, so post sale.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think those like I've participated. There's a cozy one, a cozy, I think, or cozy bub. I've participated and haven't seen any knock-on effects. And I think a lot of people have said similar things. I think a lot of people feel like might as well, right? Someone might discover
Mm-hmm.
your book and find it's really good. Now that you've lost nothing, the people who get books in that way aren't going to buy your book
Yeah.
anyway. But they're so overwhelmingly large. Like that, I think it's very, very hard to stand out in those groups. So I think if you're going to do things like a free, you're better off doing it on something specific like Free Booksy, where
Mm-hmm.
you're paying a small amount of money to be in the newsletter list, but like those people are very specifically signed up to something on a regular basis to receive free books. I think they're more likely to read.
Yeah.
But even then, I think free is a difficult price point. I think people just
Mm-hmm.
get stuff, and also they're often not the right audience. Like people get a book for free and try it, and then leave a 2-star review, like, "This wasn't my sort of book." It's like, well,
Yeah.
thanks for reading it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm glad that I've kind of held off, and I feel like it's constantly a
Mm-hmm.
temptation, but at the
Mm-hmm.
same time it's not a temptation that I want. It's yeah, I think I'd rather try different messaging on social media. And
Mm-hmm.
even like my email list, like I've definitely got people on my email list who have not read my
Mm-hmm.
books. They've signed up for maybe a free book, like the short story that I put out on Book Funnel, or they've signed up because they've seen me promoting on social media and they just want to see what's going on, but they have not converted into
Mm-hmm.
readers. So I constantly am thinking about these different methods of reaching people,
Mm-hmm.
especially because I am equally bad at once I've released a book, I move on to the next one
Mm-hmm.
and assume that the right people will find the book. That's the whole point, isn't it, of this conversation, is that in the past we have probably both released a book
Mm-hmm.
and then ignored it, but we can't. That book is forever now part of a conversation. You've got to constantly, I can't speak today,
Mm-hmm.
constantly got to keep talking and keep talking about the book.
Yeah.
It's new to everybody still,
Mm-hmm.
even after release. It's still a new book to people. That's
Yeah.
a
And I think,
mentality.
yeah, I think it is. And I think it might be useful to think about like what are some concrete strategies as ways to kind
Hmm.
of keep promoting. I don't know. I think we haven't maybe defined things in a way that's super clear for me. So think about like
Hmm.
what's the difference between backlist marketing versus post launch marketing. I think to me, post launch marketing. So we'll maybe separate three things, right? We've got like backlist
Hmm.
marketing, post launch marketing, and post sales marketing.
Yes.
So post sales, I think we talked about. I think we can go into more detail with specific techniques. Backlist marketing, I think that is just like keep talking about your old books. But
Yeah.
post launch marketing, I think there maybe are specific useful things that you can take advantage of in the post-launch period, so say like the month or two after launch, that you don't get a chance to take advantage of at other times. So we think about some specific tactics for those kind of 3 different groups. And this isn't necessarily going to be exhaustive at all. This is just like ways to kind of make sure you're dipping your toe in all the different pools. I know I'm definitely terrible at backlist marketing. Like really, really. I have put on my like newsletter plan, like put a backlist book in every newsletter, in every monthly newsletter. So I do a monthly and a weekly version. So every monthly one, I was like, oh, put a backlist one. But then because I've had a new release, I've been talking about that a lot. So I have not put in many backlist books. But when I do put them in, you know, I'll get a few sales. So why am I not doing it? Don't know. I should do that. But even just like, like listing it in there, I think is worthwhile. So I'm going to go back to doing that more. I think for me, it feels like, oh, it takes attention away. That's not even vaguely true. People can pay attention to more than one book if they think, oh, that looks good, or that looks good. Yeah, that's fine. I need to do that more.
Yeah. It kind of stems all the way back to this not wanting to shove your book down people's throats, which is definitely a mindset that I thought that I was over because I've been so forward, like pushing on social media for the last few months. Like I feel like I'm just constantly ramming my books down people's throats, but definitely thinking about this post book launch and just any kind of post marketing. I do have that thing in the back of my head when you're talking about adding a book into a mailing list that makes me, and my initial feeling is, but people will be sick of me. But that's
I think there's a difference, right, with pre-launch marketing. You get to have this, sense where you're building excitement, so you're giving people a feeling. And I think about this a lot with marketing. Is like with pre-launch books, you're building this excitement, and there's a hook of it's coming, don't want to miss out. And I really struggle with cozy mysteries to think like, how do you build that excitement with a book that's already out? Because the whole point of cozy mysteries, they're not exciting, right? They're meant to be comforting and not necessarily like safe and reliable, but like they're a known quantity. They're not, but then in the same way like romances, right? Romance is always going to have happy ever after, but there's lots of high stakes along the way, and that is what you're reading for. You're reading for to cry when they break up, right? And you're reading to worry that they're not going to get together, even though you know it's going to happen. Whereas you're not reading for that like tension in a cozy mystery. So how do you market that? So I think that's why it can maybe feel easier in some genres to pre-launch market, because you get that tension from the book's coming, you don't want to miss out. And then when you get to post-launch, you've lost that tension. So this is something I'm ongoing thinking about, is like how to get that tension in a genre that fundamentally is not tense. And I don't have the answer to this, but I'm going to crack it.
I guess my question to you is, how long do you think you can continue to be excited about the book once you've launched it? That sounds terrible, but what I mean is how long do you think is the appropriate time to keep talking about a book long it's been released? The next day you post a picture on social media to say the book's out, yay, exciting. How long can you do that for before you think, should I be talking about the next book, or like when should I start sprinkling in some stuff about previous books or the next things that are coming out? That's where I tend to struggle. Is I always feel like there must be a formula for it, and I want to figure it out. I want to know, you know, like for the next 2 weeks, all you're going to do is post about this book and say it's finally out, and that's the message. That's the only messaging. I don't know.
I think I definitely dropped that. No, there's no, but I think I definitely used to drop that, right? I dropped that like, oh, the book's out. If you're going to buy it, you've bought it by now, which is not true, right?
No.
At all. But I definitely, my previous tendency has been to pre-launch market and then think, or start to think about the next book. However, I feel like with my current book, I am maintaining kind of the pre-launch energy for post-launch. And part of that comes from it is a rapid release, so it feels like I'm talking about this book, like get into this before book 2 comes out, like get on this book. There are also like still things happening, so it feels like I've got things to talk about. So I guess I just got my paperbacks yesterday, so I posted online about my paperbacks. I've got reviews coming in still, so I can post about those. And yeah, there's still enough kind of coming in. And for me, even like I'm still watching sales graphs and seeing like, oh, what direction are things going? Am I getting enough, paid reads and sales? How am I going? So I think as I'm still focusing on this as like a very current book, it feels like I can launch it. I can market in the same way. But I have not considered switching enough to post sales marketing and thinking about that of like maybe posting more about like the bonus content for starters. So both all my books in this series, they have got 2 recipes at the end, and a number of people in the reviews have mentioned how excited they are to try the recipes, which is like, it's a very common crazy thing. I don't make recipes for other people's books as a rule because they're often for like not for the thing that I want to make. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if I want to make something, I want to make something specific, not just like what happens at the end of a book. But I think there is a real sense from some readers that they really want to try a new recipe. And I have specifically put in like traditional English recipes, and one of the 2 for each book is like a traditional Yorkshire recipe. So I kind of think people will want to try that if you're in the world of the book. So I could do my post sales marketing, focusing a bit on the recipes. I've also got a little like newspaper for the world that the book is from, that is in the end of book 1 to start with, and again could do something like that. Maybe start posting in a bit more detail about characters. I think that is a good post sales marketing, like, have you got a favorite character from the book, and give people a sense that you should have read it by now, right? That you should have a favorite character by now, and have you met the cats yet in the book, and things like that.
Yeah.
So I think, and that's something I would never normally do, because that just feels like, to an extent, that does feel like talking about something people are bored of, but it's not true at all.
No,
and I want to
that
take more
brings
energy
me
into it.
that brings me to something that I was going to ask you, and I know that this is a cruel question, because to me, like, I also would never do this, but say like, let's go back to the fact that you posted that you got your paperback version today, and I saw the video and it was really cute. Are you going to post that again, a different version? How many times are you going to send that message? And the same with recipes. If you were to show or bake one of the recipes from the book, do you have a plan of how many times you would do that?
I think that's what's really interesting actually about TikTok, is like, that the videos are going to a different audience every time. So it's definitely made me feel more comfortable of saying the same thing over and over again. So for example, when I filmed my video of me opening a paperback, I've also filmed lots of additional like mini clips of me with the paperbacks, or I also thought about the video that I'd had of me opening the paperback, I could put with no sound and speed parts up and put that to other clips and things. So it's like, I already know how I'm going to get multiple uses out of this. And I've done that knowing that it's not going to the same people every time. However, that has given me the practice and the energy that I want to take that into my other social media. So things like in my Facebook group, in fact, I've been doing a lot more, not my Facebook group, my Facebook page. I've been doing a lot more posting about the same book, because why not? Right?
Yeah.
Like that feels like, if people don't want to see it, then they will stop looking and they won't get it anymore. And maybe the same on Instagram. I've posted a lot of like similar videos that are different but not the same, about the same book. Because again, if you stop interacting, it will stop showing up. And I'm looking for people who want to interact a lot. And when I say a lot, I mean like every few days, right? They're going to see something every few days. That's not a lot.
Yeah.
And who wouldn't want to see me every few days?
I do. I mean, you're one of my starred accounts, and I always get yours the very first thing when I go onto Instagram. It's always you.
Yeah, it's always me wearing weird outfits, or a funny hat
with a cute hat.
Yeah.
But I really like that, and I really want. I personally really want to see the authors that I follow constantly posting. But when it comes to me, I feel like, and I have this weird thing about Instagram. This is like specifically Instagram, because I don't think about it on TikTok. Even though I can see the stats on Instagram, I really have this thing about not wanting people to go on my page and just see me posting the exact same thing over and over again.
People don't do that.
No one looks. I know, even though no one looks at that. But on TikTok, I don't care about doing that, and I can see people looking on my account, like, and I get notifications saying this many people viewed your account today. So that is such a stupid mental block, and that's, as of today, I'm over it. I've decided.
I think like, okay, I'm not just thinking inside. Like, think about like what's behind that block. Is it that you think people will think you're not creative? In that they'll think that you're up yourself because you're saying talking about your own book over and over again. Like, what do you think? What's behind that thought of I don't want to be posting the same thing. I don't want to be seen posting the same thing again and again.
I think it's that they might just think I'm boring, and I have a strong adversity to being thought of as boring, which is because I'm a middle child. And I think it is just like a boredom thing. I don't want people to look and think I only have one thing to talk about. But then that's silly because it's clear that I've got a lot to talk about. So I don't know. I think it's just, I just don't want people to look and be like, oh, she just says the same things over and over. That's not interesting. Because I don't think that about other people.
Like we looked at accounts like Paper Fury, right? That's the same over and over and over again. But it's the same done really well. And by doing it over and over again, that account has like perfected what they do.
Yeah.
And even if you like, I see Paper Fury accounts, like I follow Paper Fury on multiple different platforms, and I might see like a couple of threads a day and a couple of Instagram posts, like, and that's fine. It doesn't feel like too much because again, if I'm feeling bored of it, I just scroll past faster, and I get less of it for a while, and then it comes back again. And it feels like I think you can trust the algorithm to bring things to people as they feel interested.
Yeah.
But there is definitely the fear of like, what if everyone's bored of it and no one ever watches anything? And then I'm just boring. But that I think is a bigger self-doubt issue. I think one area where I don't repeat myself enough is to my newsletter, because I assume that everyone reads every newsletter faithfully word for word, which I know is not true given the stats. And also I read people's newsletters at a skim. And then maybe one in every few I will read thoroughly. And I personally have my cats at the end of my newsletter. So I am sure there are people who just open the newsletter to scroll down and look at the cats, who don't read the actual content. And maybe every few, I say this knowing one of the people is my brother, maybe every few, they scroll past something that they think, oh, that's caught my eye. I didn't know that book had come out. And so I just need to be more repetitive in the newsletter as well, even though it's people that I feel like they have read every word I've written. They have not. They sometimes look at the cats.
Yeah. Well, the cats are a draw, and I did appreciate in the last newsletter, Miss Marple's tiny legs.
Yeah. And I have double cats in a recent newsletter to thank my art reader. They gave me double cats.
The sweetest little things.
They are very small legs. I think they're not even small legs. I think she's just been eating too much food.
She looks like some sort of dwarf cat.
Yeah,
she's got these tiny little legs. I know she's not.
No, but I think they're just looking stumpy because she's a bit of she's got a winter weight on her at the moment.
Bless her. Love her. So what do you think you have gained from this? Like, any insights on this? Do you feel like you have changed your thinking on post-launch marketing? Or
absolutely, this has been so helpful. Yeah. Even if it's just helpful for you and me. I think just having someone talk about it in a different way, someone who's literally taken the words in a different way, is just always very helpful. So I think I want to do variation of messaging so that I am capturing different people at different times, and also want to really make sure I've got a strategy for post-sales marketing that is building excitement for people who have read the book. Which I think to start with is going to feel really awkward, because I think I don't capture those people enough. I think I don't have them on my social media. I think I don't necessarily, because I'm doing a lot of advertising as well, they're not necessarily anywhere that I can recapture them. But I just have to start and keep going.
But generally, if they have bought something, say if they bought the book on Amazon, there will be a cookie somewhere that will get them on your algorithm somehow if you're posting enough. There must be some sort of cross conversion with Amazon and other apps. Like, I'm sure that there is. So even if those people don't follow you and they bought the book, if you're talking about it enough, it's more than likely that they will come across your social media account. I'm
and also they're the sort of people who buy a book from Facebook, right? So they're the sort of people that Facebook knows read crazy mysteries. Like I've targeted them with whatever I target them with, they are likely to encounter other posts from me in future just because I will post that sort of thing. think I definitely want to do some thinking about what type of content to post, because I don't have a strategy. And when I say content to post, I mean also using in my newsletter, also thinking about in other places.
Yeah.
I think I don't have enough of a strategy for that, and really enough of a way to like do less salesy content.
Yes.
A lot of like pre-launch marketing is like, because you don't have any necessary content that you want to share. You want to share like, here's the book cover, here's like the blurb, here's some scenes, but people can't enter the world yet, so you don't want to get into that like, who's your favorite character, because the answer is I don't know, I haven't read it.
Yeah.
And people haven't had a chance to bake the recipes, so yeah, so I sort of neglected that because it hasn't been relevant, whereas now I 100% need to pick that up. And in my
Mm-hmm.
newsletter, right, like I need to do more on that and think about like, oh, has anyone baked the recipes this week? Like, here's what I made. I made the recipe from book number 1 this week for my family. Here's us eating the scones. Did you
Yeah.
add anything to yours? I changed my recipe in this way. Just keep it as a conversation. I
Yeah.
feel like it's very doable.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like my brain is just. I feel like I've had a load of mini epiphanies all at once.
Epiphany.
Epiphany. Yeah, I feel like things are clicking into place, which is really nice. And I can sit and think about this so much on my own, and I can write all the post-its, which I'm surrounded by post-its with ideas on. But it's only by saying it out loud and having a back and forth that things kind of really do start to make more sense. And it seems so obvious. Like, some of the things that we've said seem so obvious, and we've probably talked about
So
them
obvious.
before.
Like, some people listening
but
are like, why haven't you thought this before?
Yeah, like, or like, we have talked about this before, but you just get so distracted. Like, this is a reality of this whole publishing thing, and why we want to talk about it like so openly, even though like it sounds like we're just like going over the same things, is that you get so focused on doing the work, which obviously is important, but like doing the writing and the editing and the publishing, and it's so easy for these other things to fall by the wayside, and you just don't have the energy or the mental capacity to touch it again, like to pick up that post-it and be like, oh yeah, I was going to do this. So the more we have these conversations,
right? Like, I don't want to think about things that make more work for me.
Yeah.
So, and I'm so busy that I would never in a million years have spent an hour this evening thinking about this. But actually, this has saved me, if I had to think about it myself, like months of putting this off, just talking about it. And now I think, oh yeah, I can easily do that. Let me just mull it over for the next few days and then start posting like that. Fine.
Yeah.
I feel like much better.
Yeah.
I only wish the writing and editing of this fast and easy.
I know. One day we'll co-write and co-edit, and we'll realize that together we are one fully functioning human brain.
I mean, what can't we do, right? What wouldn't be able to publish? I have had an epiphany this week that I mentioned to you when I was going to talk about the podcast. It hasn't really come up because I think it's not necessarily relevant to this, but I think having a rapid release, so it's sort of connected, having a rapid release has really given me a way to think about my books in a more businessy way than I have in the past, and has made things that people talk about in self-publishing just seem really obvious. Like stuff we talked about today, right, just seems really obvious. Like, of course you have to do that sort of different various marketing, and I keep talking about the book. And I wanted just to kind of capture where I'm thinking at the moment. And this is not necessarily a great thought, and it's not a thought that anyone else can do anything with. But I think one of the big benefits of this podcast is that we kind of capture the process of like our thinking and our experience of self-publishing. So this, because I've got 3 books coming out very quickly, I am advertising knowing that I'm going to lose money on my advertising book 1, and I have an estimated read through of books 2 and 3, and that's based on just sales. So because I started advertising my book before I launched, I could only make money back on sales. I couldn't make money back on page reads, and I have got a series now that is much more responsive to ads than my other series in the past, and it just feels like such a light in the tunnel, like light at the end of the tunnel, to be able to see something the way that other people talked about it. So other people have talked about, oh, you need a long series. You advertise book 1 knowing you're going to like lose money until the reader on book 3, and then you make money on books 4, 5, and 6, and then you'll also make money on page reads. it felt like an epiphany this week when I just literally have seen that happen.
Yeah.
And like I have got adverts that are making the money that I need them to make to cover from read through to 1 to 3. And then I'm also making additional money from read through. And I can now see how if you have a book that's written to market and it's a long series and you advertise it, then you make money. And that has seemed so impossible to me until now. And I have until now just thought, I don't understand because I've done many of these things, right? I've got a longer series. I've tried Facebook advertising. I've done these things and got no result. And so like, are people lying? Am I missing something? What am I doing wrong? And for ages, I just really haven't been able to see it. And right now it feels like enough things have kind of aligned that I can see how I can do it. Right. I can with this current series, if it was 6 books long and I advertise it and I'm spending all the money from my adverts and on sales for 1, 2, and 3. I'm making money on the read through to 4, 5, and 6. I'm making money on the page reads. That's money, that's profit. Like that seems such a simple, clear idea that everyone's been talking about for ages and that has just I've never found a way to make it feel applicable. And it's so fascinating to be in the exact same position I've been in before, right? Where I've got a series and I've tried advertising and for it just to work differently because I've spent a long time learning the business and I have fixed mistakes that I made in the past, and I'm not doing things perfectly, but I have shored up enough holes that even if this series doesn't make me a lot of money, right? I'm not saying this definitely will, like things go wrong, I could write a terrible book too, who knows? But like I can now understand that there is a truth to write a long series, write it to market and advertise it. It's like, oh,
the model works.
Yeah. But before it was like
made
I
it
was doing
work.
things from model, but it wasn't work. Yeah.
No, because before probably like you, and you know this about yourself, you would have done advertising and it hadn't worked immediately, so you'd stopped. And maybe then you'd have a break and then you start again, try it again. But you weren't getting any momentum and the mindset wasn't there because you've done so much work on that and just like getting yourself in the right place. So
but also like I just wasn't doing enough things, right? The book just went to market enough. I didn't get like pre-release reviews. I didn't have enough levers pulled to get things going. Like I had a lot of brakes on my car and I was like, why isn't this car moving? And I'm like, you've got your brake pedal down and the handbrake on. I don't know what you think's gonna happen. Whereas now it's like, okay, I've got all the brakes off and I'm in a low gear. And maybe I never get to a high gear. That is fine, but like I can see how you make the car move now. And it's just a matter of getting the car better and better. Whereas before I was like, well, the car's broken. Oh no, the handbrake's on.
A car analogy, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Can you even imagine?
I think they're helpful. I think people love it.
All modes of transportation on this podcast. I love it.
Yeah.
And she doesn't even drive.
I can drive though. I have a license.
I know.
I'd be dangerous behind the wheel, but I could.
Well, I think that's a very nice place to end because we'll never top that. So next week we're talking about time management, which is everyone's favorite thing to talk about, and also rolling production schedules. So do you have any initial thoughts on this right now?
Yes, I am doing a terrible job at the moment and I would like to do better. I am tired all the time and I have no capacity to take a break. There's no wiggle room in my schedule and I've done this to myself and it was a poor choice and I would like to think through and reflect on that before I make this choice again and figure out ways in which I could have done things better. And there's no crisis happening at the moment. I'm just very tired and I'm at absolutely the like edge of possible time to get things done and it feels stressful and I do not like this feeling and I would like to do it better. So not great is how I feel right now, but I have a lot of thoughts. What about you? Got any thoughts on this?
I do. I think I mentioned last week, and we've definitely talked about this, about how I finally understand how time works. So I can't wait to try and vocalize that. I think I'll have a lot to say. Definitely, I've been working a lot with my schedule and trying to understand my own processes and how I want the business to work versus how it's currently working. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to talking about it because it's really fresh in my mind right now. So I look forward to looking at my big calendar and trying to explain how I see time working for me. Nobody else, just me.
I'm looking forward to talking about that. I think that would be so useful. Again, another one where it's like, I think I don't have any good ideas right now, but I think talking it through will be the thing that fixes it. Because right now it feels like I couldn't possibly change my schedule. I need to get things done, but actually I probably could. Like tonight, I have decided I'm going to take the evening off, even though that put me behind schedule. I am only going to get more and more tired, and I'll get sick if I don't take a break this evening.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same with, we like thinking about this in a bit more depth. We need a question of the week for our Discord group. And I personally, from a purely selfish standpoint, would quite like it to be, what are your post-sales marketing techniques? So like once you've sold someone the book, what techniques do you use to try and get people to make sure they're reading it?
Yes. Whatever you're using, please share it with us in Discord so that we can steal those ideas and use them as our own. No, it's a
or like
really
even
great
can you
place.
think of some post-sales techniques? Like what's just get like we've talked about today, right? Like just getting the conversation going is like, I have got thoughts, and like just bounce them off someone else makes them much better. And now I know what to do.
Just
I'm
cast judgment on what we've talked about. Yeah. Like jump in there, just tell us that you think that we're dumb and we haven't done it right. You can do that too.
We haven't. It's fine. Yeah. Otherwise, we're such a boring podcast if we were perfect. We're really doing this for you guys. This is for the plot.
Yeah. 100%. So thank you very much for joining us tonight or to this week. We will be back next week. Don't forget to like, subscribe, tell your friends, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
You've been listening to Pen to Paycheck Authors.
Stay tuned for our next episode, and don't forget to subscribe to learn how to write your way to financial success.